Okay, core principle of success number two. So we started with knowing ourselves. The next appropriate transition, then, the second core principle of the sales game, or our principles of success, is to begin to know others. And quick little blurb here: the game of sales and business will always, always, always involve other human beings. Get to know them, yeah?
Get to know them, yeah? All
Yeah?
right.
Yeah?
That could be a good idea. I love this famous, I can't remember who said it, but it's a pretty cool, funny sort of quote in the business world, which is business would be so much easier if humans didn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so true. It's like so much that we want to achieve in business and that we want to achieve in life. Quite often other people are standing in the way in some form or another, or a competitor is in your way, or
I've
yeah.
heard that with like HR as well. Be like,
Yeah.
man, my business would be so simple if I had no staff.
Yes. Yeah. That's it.
Good luck doing anything, you know?
Exactly. So, and this is the key here is that, well, at the end of the day, other human beings exist, and thank God they do. They are what make life interesting. But the truth of the matter is there are going to be other people standing in your way of doing what you want to do with your life once you've become self-aware enough to know what that is that you want to give to the world.
Mm.
And so that can be staff, that can be fellow salespeople, that can be competitors at other companies. And that's all okay. That's all a part of life. But the key to working around it, working through it, getting over it, going under it, whichever direction it is that you want to take, is to actually understand and know them deeply as well.
Mm.
And once I was having this thought actually this morning, it was a shower thought. Don't you love shower thoughts?
They're the best kind of thoughts.
Post your shower thoughts below. No, so I would say that knowing others is so key to success, but that doesn't mean that you can necessarily influence. It doesn't necessarily mean you can control the way they feel and think, right? So I think a lot of salespeople, a lot of people in business, their aim is to do that. It's to go, I want to be able to control. Notice a lot of business owners, a lot of sales professionals are control freaks. Like, I'll hand up in the air, been there for sure myself. Like, we can control, or we can aim to control how others think and feel about us. Totally, we can. But there's only so far that can go. We really can't control how other people behave, think, and feel, right? We can influence it.
For sure.
However, I would suggest we can't influence it near as much as we actually think we can. All right, we probably like to think that we can a little bit more. The truth is, all we can do is control ourselves, right? And understand that how we control ourselves is going to have an impact on how attracted other people are to us. If you can see someone that's totally in control of themselves, totally certain and confident within themselves,
for sure,
you're very attracted to that individual. Does this make sense?
For sure, yeah.
So that's super key. I don't want to mix knowing others with, I need to know them so that I can control how they make decisions. That's not necessarily it. Knowing others really is just an understanding of the blueprint of how human life works, and understanding that there's going to be 25% of people who are dominant types. There's going to be 25% of people who are the clown party types. There's going to be, it's understanding that there's different types of people and that they're all interacting their own way.
For sure.
What you want to be able to do, or we want to be able to do, Steve, is almost, again, it's coming back to that bird's eye view flip on things, which is being able to just take a step back and just observe life for the way that it is going. And then you understand, once you're observing life and you're knowing others that way, then you know where to take yourself when you're super confident in yourself, and you just slot yourself nicely into that little spot there and go, that's where I'm going to be most prosperous. That's where I'm going to be able to help the most people, and the most people are going to be able to help me. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. I like the way that essentially what you just said there, as far as once you're certain of yourself, and I suppose one's principle one, although it be a never-ending journey, once it gets far enough through the journey that you really know yourself and you become okay with your identity and who you are, and you become certain and confident in that fact, this one kind of then becomes a game of curiosity, in my opinion, because it's like you enter into a situation where you don't let the external, I suppose, dictate or mold you in a way that doesn't align to your visions, goals, and purpose. But you can sit there okay within yourself and then take a position of curiosity to be like, yeah, interesting. I wonder why they did that. Or I'm curious about who they are, or I'm curious about their journey, or I'm curious about just them. You know what I mean? Not letting that affect who I am, but just from a place of curiosity. I think it's a really, really great way to play the sales game, to play life. And we've seen people do this, hey, Das, where sometimes they don't even move. They took a deliberate strategy. I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to see what people do. And they did it very confidently. They did it from a place of not arrogance, but just like, yeah, I'm just going to chill. I'm just going to see what happens. Confident within themselves. And then what did we notice happen?
Yeah, totally. It's like there was like floods of people came to them.
And they didn't even move. And they did some great deals. And they got quite far in the game. I was fascinated by that. And I think it's something that helped me to learn how to sit and listen.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't even need to say anything.
Nice.
Sometimes it's about, you could say many things, but you just choose not to, because that's perfectly fine and that's okay too.
Nice.
It's a weird thing to do. But yeah, knowing others, I think it's a good distinction there. I think sometimes we want to read personalities. We want to understand archetypes so that we can read the play and then control them, or at least get them to do something. I'm starting to see evidence of the opposite. Be certain of yourself. Go into a situation with curiosity, and it really doesn't matter who's on the other end of the conversation. They'll be attracted to you.
Nice. I think what this ties in nicely with, Steve, in terms of making this practical again, is the difference between talking and listening. So if you ever found, at stages in your business where things might be going really well, you're signing a few sales in one day, like life is cruising, you're on fire. It can be very natural to get into a state where we want to hold on to that feeling of everything going, everything's moving. This is fantastic. But naturally, it's just a normal part of life. That cycle will start to slow down, and it's time for you to just listen again. Just listen to the market again. But if you're creating results and energy is moving and you want to keep that going and you're just continuing to run forward, all you've ever got is your eyes on the prize, and you're not stopping just to listen to what's happening around you. Does this make sense? It's the same thing with knowing yourself and knowing others. So if you're doing really well in business, chances are you're starting to know yourself quite well. Once that starts to happen, always remember one of the smartest things that you can do is take the time to just know others again. Make that flip if you need to. How that looks in practical terms is it's really important to always touch base with your market. Like, what are your market doing? Have they since jumped from Facebook over to LinkedIn now to start using that sort of platform? So that's where you need to communicate with them. Is that how you need to know others now? Things like this. So always listen. It's such a balance of talking and listening. Once you've listened enough, you can start talking again, because you know what you're talking about and people will be attracted to that. If you're talking too much, shut up for a bit and listen and go back and continue the cycle. Does that make sense?
I like that. That's super practical. It's almost like if we were to tie it into a principle, it would be to be proactive in initiating the conversation. And then as soon as it started, deeply listen.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, like that's a really practical principle for people running businesses or making sales right now. Like when's the last
networking events?
Yeah. When's the last time you proactively initiated conversation, but with an intention of curiosity to see where they're at with things, and then deeply listen?
Nice.
You've probably got everything you need to make a really successful pivot in your business, because let's face it, things change a lot. And listening, I think, is one of the most powerful things that people could practice, is just to sit and to do it. One really weird, again, I'm weird with words, but a super practical thing that's helped me a lot is to study when you're curious about words, because that's really all we are. We're communicators. When you think about sales, it's the coolest job in the world. We're actually paid quite well just to have conversations with people. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Solving problems together. That's a pretty good job. But I've always been fascinated by words and the meaning of them. One thing that's really changed the game for me is to take the time to study the etymology of the words that we use to fully understand what they mean.
Define etymology, ironically.
So etymology is essentially its roots, its origins. Where did the word? I'll give you a classic example, right? Most people don't know how to make decisions because they don't understand what the word decision truly means. So its Latin roots is a word called decisio, and decisio literally translates to cut off. Okay. So that's what a decision is. It's to cut off. And then when you add, let's say, the root word of side, C-I-D-E, its roots translates to kill. And so when you decide to do something, what you're really saying is, I'm going to cut off all options and in fact kill them. So side is the killing of what happens before. So decide is to cut off all options and in fact kill them.
Right. So a lot of people see decide as find one thing and move towards it, as opposed to find all the ones you don't want to do and kill them off.
Kill them, you know?
Yeah, interesting.
So when people say like, even when they say, I think I'm going to decide to do this. Well, that's not a decision. You know, you don't even speak like that when you're making a decision. A decision is, we're going here, destination A, and we're going to kill everything that is not destination A.
Yes.
And so when you start to think about that, you know, it's changed the way that I think about making decisions for myself or commitments to things. You know, if you decide to do something, are you really deciding, or is a more appropriate word better to put in there instead?
Yeah, nice.
And so this is the reason why this all ties back to knowing others, is to really listen to the language that they use and try and understand what it is they're trying to say. Because I believe that's what listening really is sometimes deciphering through the chosen words to understand what is the true meaning of what it is that they're putting across, you know? So that's a really practical thing to get in the habit of, is anytime you come up against a peculiar word, peculiar would be one, go to etymology, go to Google, jump in etymology of peculiar and have a look where it came from. Was it French? Was it Latin? Was it Greek? You know, like, how did we come up with that, and what did it actually mean back in the day?
I like that.
Really sick. It's a really, really cool thing. And it makes you conscious of just deeply understanding things. And I think when you can deeply understand people and others, you're in a really hot seat for being successful, and no matter what it is that you want to do. So
love it. Comments, thoughts, questions, etymologies of interesting words. Put them below.
Let's do that as a thought starter. What are some words that you found out meant something from back in the day? And we'll see you on the next video for Principle 3.